I want what you have, and frankly, I'm willing to do anything to get it, because that's all that matters to me right now. What's going on, everybody? Today we are talking about envy. Let's dive right in. Welcome back, everybody. My name is A.P. Raleigh, author of Abide, and I make Christian content to help both you and me grow in our relationship with Christ. Now, we're jumping back into 1 Corinthians 13, talking about what love is, what are the characteristics of it, and the first big thing that love is not is envious. Now, this is a really, really difficult one, in fact, to go through. This particular little tiny word being in the Bible is what we call a difficult passage, and a difficult passage is something that's used to say that the Bible contradicts itself, to kind of dismantle the Bible. But in my opinion, those are usually the points where we've missed something or we haven't gone deep enough into context. We're trying to take an understanding. And the reason that is way back in Exodus, God comes in and says that he's jealous, that he's a jealous God. And while it says envy there, we tend to use these words really interchangeably in English and find them to be very close together. But there's a really, really important difference. And that difference, not only is there some stuff in linguistics, but that one's even so complicated, I don't like using it. What's most important is the context, understanding what were they trying to convey? What's the feeling that's coming about? And the difference here, the biggest thing, there is an envy for things and an envy that desires control and an envy that goes after that. And then there is this envy that's described of God, this jealousy, which we'll keep those two words separate and just call it this envy and jealousy. Because when God comes in and he's saying, I'm a jealous God, what he's talking about is his desire for mankind. And it's not that he wants to take it from something else. What he's referencing in this particular passage is don't worship other gods, don't worship idols, don't worship false gods. It's not that I'm jealous I'm taking you from something that you have, or I don't want you pursuing something that's not real. I'm trying to take you from what doesn't even exist. There's no pulling from this side possession. There's nothing else there. And when we look at the human side of things, especially in this particular passage when it's going through, Paul just spent 1 Corinthians 12 describing and going through the gifts of the Spirit and talking about the fact that we should not be trying to pursue other people's stuff. Paul is talking about, yes, there's some gifts that are actually higher. There's some gifts that are more useful, but they're all necessary. We're all part of the body. And if we were all an arm, that's unhelpful. We got to be the whole thing. And so if you're going after someone trying to take their gifts, you're jealous of their gifts, you want it. He's literally just gone on this whole long rant about how accept what God's given you and enjoy it and love it and pursue it. And it doesn't matter if it's big. It doesn't matter if it's small. It doesn't matter. Pursue it. And we go from that right into love doesn't envy. And what he's trying to say is stop trying to take other people's stuff. That's not loving. It's not loving to sit back and shame yourself and think, oh, I can't do it. If only I was them. And then let's talk about what this word means, because it's a lot more than just, oh, I wish I was them, or I want this thing. The word envy describes boiling over because of some sort of desire that we have. It's bubbling up and boiling over just like a pot on the stove. And you know how quickly those erupt, especially when we're making some delicious mac and cheese. But that boiling point, it's okay to have desire. It's okay to want things. It's okay to look at something else and go, wow, that's really cool. I do wish that was in my life. But there's a point where we boil over and this now becomes our obsession. It becomes everything. It becomes an idol. It becomes everything that we could want. And when we're so fixated on that, that's when we get to this point of envy, because we are trying to control a circumstance. And I can't control time. I highly doubt you can. I can't control other people. I can sure do a lot for how I act. I can I can pursue the things that I want to pursue, but I don't have control over this entire big grand system that's in God's hands and God's hands alone. So when I walk up and decide that no, I'm boiling over and they shouldn't have that, that should be mine, I deserve it, I earned it, it's mine, I want it, and then I continue to push and pursue, and we all know what it looks like when you just leave a pot unattended when it's boiling over. It just goes and goes. And so we take that and we put that in the context of love, that it's really easy for us to push so aggressively for a certain point, to wish that, a partner, a friend, a spouse, doesn't matter, to wish for some other circumstance going on, or to even push that on them, to have this absolute aggression so that my picture looks like someone else's picture, and that's spot on, that's perfect. And what I'm doing is attempting to take control over the system, but it's much different than having a logical thought through plan of, man, I see that, my neighbor's doing really well in life. Their career is set. They're together. And I think that'd be a really good thing for myself. So I'm going to go back to school and I've got all this plan, it's building out this logical frame of, oh, no, they've just figured it out already. I don't need to be them, but I understand they know how to get to where I'm trying to go. So I want to do that. This is the opposite side, where we're seeing them and then taking the emotion and stoking it. And we are simply feeding into that until we assume that we'll get it. Or frankly, we just kind of, we explode. We try to hold that in and say that that's not going on, but we're not pursuing it out of a good thing. I know there's been a lot of points in my life, and I've laughed lately. I had probably the worst joke of my life, but just describing the number of times that I've been sick and had problems and this, that, or the other thing. And I just said, yeah, I've got the luck of a one-leaf clover. And I thought that was wildly hilarious. But I sit back and think, but that's okay. Because I could be envious of people that just immediately get it. And I've definitely had those problems in my life. And I've had those points where that's an issue. And I just want my life to be theirs. And I feel like I earned it. And I feel like I deserve it. And so I start to fight and grumble, complain, and just tell anybody who will listen, and nobody wants to because it's awful to listen to, that should be my life, not them. There's no point when that's loving. And frankly, I don't think it's loving to myself. I don't think it's loving to the other person. I don't think it's loving to anybody that has to hear about it. There's not really a point when that is useful or helpful or anything in the world. And again, let me preface or push back to the fact that seeing something, wanting it, and pursuing it in a healthy way is not envy. That's good. That's actually healthy. That's right. But forcing this random thing to happen, it's kind of like if I go to the gym and I want to get stronger because I see the really strong guy in the corner, and so I take a dumbbell and I just try to break it. Because I don't know, that's what a strong person would do, and I sit there all day doing that. I'm not getting any stronger. I'm not doing anything. I'm not pursuing anything. This isn't helpful. All I'm doing is struggling. And that is so far from love. So when we look back at that, there's still, I want to come back to the Jesus portion, the God of it all. When God is saying that he's a jealous God, it's a very, very different picture. Because when he's jealous for us, that's not, I want, I take, I don't care, I'm going to do whatever is emotionally necessary to do it. God has full and complete control over the system. He can zap my brain and just make me do things. He doesn't. He never has. I don't think he ever would. I mean, he could just all of a sudden force everyone to follow him. He doesn't. Because I find even in God, and it is a different word used, and I struggle with finding some of these really old definitions, and there's not a whole lot there, but that jealousy, it seems like it's at that boiling point, but it's not this explosive thing. And moreover, God being infinite, I just had this fun thought that God being infinite, even if he was boiling over, he still remains within himself, which is really confusing. But God is actually big enough to handle it. But moreover, he is not taking from something else. He's not taking from someone else. That jealous desire is for our benefit. And I think we very, very often want to say that, this envy I have or this desire. And you see it a lot of times with, parents and wanting their kids to be successful and just aggressively pushing to the detriment of the child. And that envy for someone else's life, for someone else's success, for something that they never got to have that they're pushing is a very worldly way of doing it, because it's not for the kid, it's for themselves. And anytime we get into that envy, it's back to it's for yourself, and it doesn't necessarily benefit them. And this is where we get into I'm pursuing this and I'm doing something, I'm going full bore emotionally to make this dream a reality. And in the process, I'm hurting everyone around me, and I'm justifying it by saying it's loving because I will be at the next level when I get there. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be greater. This is going to be helpful for everyone. So it's okay that we suffer right now. This is sacrificing the short term for the long term. And it's removing the balance completely. And the opposite of that I find is patience. And the beauty of that is, I just talked on the fruit of the Spirit. I went over patience. This is a characteristic of God, and God is able to remain completely and fully loving and be jealous. That is not particularly something that we have. We do not have the power to be envious and loving at the same time. That's something that we miss over. So how is that possible? He has this peace. He has this patience. And when we do have the Holy Spirit, we bring that in and we start to feel God's emotion for other people. There are these moments of incredible zeal and incredible passion. And I know I've been in those spots where I felt that. But there's this really weird and overwhelming calm inside of this bubbling over, this absolute need, this absolute desire, because it's like God is taking and just enclosing it. And that is that jealousy of God, which, yes, you can feel, but no, it's not going to stem from you. And no, it's not going to be something that you've got on a regular basis, because I don't think God really wants you to be sitting in this place where you are boiling over with emotion constantly and in a constant state of distress. That's what we call trauma. And my God is not a God that wants to put you through trauma just for fun. There's no point in that, because God is love. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this helps you to pursue your faith more in this particular area, to understand what God is trying to do, what the knowledge of God is, and get a better picture. Because growing that faith, asking God, what do you look like? Show me what it means to have your jealousy. Show me what it means to have this envy of the world for other people's stuff that I want, or other people's situations that I want. I'm going to make it mine. And how can I transition into loving them? How can I abide in the fruit of the Spirit and just feel this peace and patience and understand that, hey, that's an awesome scenario. I'm so happy for them. That is something I want. So I'm going to pursue it, but I'm going to do so at my pace in a healthy way that's not going to hurt anybody. So I hope that helps. Hope it grows your relationship with God. And if you did want to see more on that whole fruit of the Spirit thing, just finished a whole series on that. Go ahead, check it out. It's going to be over here for you. As well, I've got the last video that I just finished here as well on fruit of the Spirit. Hope to see you for the rest of it.